Okay. So this is live at the studio. This is dope. Um, I have a lot of poems that I could have picked for this moment, right? But I feel like it's a super great opportunity to bring this full circle. Um, 2012, bringing it back, right? You and I have a session. I come over your house. I bring my poetry. This is a blue binder. I bring this poetry and I sit down and I start reading poems to you. And I think I read one or two poems, and then I read this one poem. And when you heard that poem, you just lost your mind. Right? DJ GI Joe thinks my poetry is dope. Right. So I'm hyped, I read this poem, and then you turn your back to me, you get on your computer, and you get mad hype like you do when you're doing a beat. And, the beat to which I remember my voice to this day was created that day. There's something about the way you created the beat originally. You had this marching song, like, because you just felt the poem, and you gave the poem the melody it needed, right? And the melody it needed was straight percussion, and you gave it that. And then there's this one moment where the bass drops, and to this day I hear that bass drop in my head before I start spitting a poem. And that is what allowed me to remember my voice. Like, for years I've been writing poetry since I was a kid. And I was an R&B head back in the day, and I knew all the R&B songs. I mean, still to this day I think I could sing it all to you, like all the ones that I loved really much, like intonation, high notes, low notes, every word, the way that it's said, breathing, breaths, all of that. But I couldn't remember my poetry until DJ GI Joe made me a beat, right? And I remember how I felt when I played it in my car for the first time. How, like, that sounded, right? And today, April 22nd, right? Let's date it, because it's okay. It's an important date. And numbers matter. But today, I was appointed the first poet laureate of the city of Lynn, Massachusetts. And being a woman of color, being Black, being Dominican, being of immigrant parents, I can't tell you what that means to me. So for this to be my first live in the studio, first of many to come, I think this is a perfect piece to open up with, right? So without further ado, right? Patriotic Masks. And this poem was written years ago, on the first time that immigrants decided to organize and say, you know what? They don't want us here so bad, so you know what? We're not going to go to work. So it was May 1st, I think of like 2008, 2009, where this happened. And I was at work when it came out on the news that this was going to happen. And you know me, community, right? So I'm like, okay, bet. Something in my face must have been so lit that when my boss walked by the office, he saw my face. He said, don't even think about it. You were born here just like me. So if you don't come to work tomorrow, you're fired. You have bills to pay, you have children to raise, and all this and all that. So I came to work. But I wrote this poem on the clock. And I printed it on his ink too, as I worked on strike. So this poem legit speaks of what I wish.